We'd like to call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Mr. Roger Updegrove.
Here.
Dr. Weir.
Here.
Dr. Wiley. Mr. Brophy. Ms. Connor. Ms. Kratz.
Here.
Ms. Nyman. Mr. Brad Updegrove. Mr. Panarello.
Here.
4 present.
Now let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us, both here in person and virtually. This evening we have a few items that we'd like to discuss with the Facilities Committee, and I believe we have some of our presenters here, so we're going to kick things off, and we're going to begin with the Boyertown Elementary School HVAC and roof, along with the Boyertown Area Senior High School Turf Project update. So we have with us this evening Mr. Jamie Lynch from CHA, who's going to walk us through a short PowerPoint, and this is an opportunity for members of the committee to ask any questions. And really, as we kick off here over the last week with both projects, we want to just make sure you're aware of our next steps over the coming months. So, Mr. Lynch.
Great. Mic on? Red? Red? Very good. Good evening. Always good to be in Boyertown. Especially now that spring has arrived and it's the season of construction. So just wanted to provide the committee, the board, the community with a little update of what to expect over the next couple of months on these 2 projects. The first being the turf project. And if we head to the next slide. I have the control. Thank you very much. Then I can advance to the next slide. Just one slide that identifies where we were from a budget standpoint after I was last here. Our bid cost was substantially lower than budget, so that is a good thing. Land Tech is the name of our contractor who's going to be installing both fields for the district, a contractor that's very experienced in this type of work and we've worked with time and time again. So we have kicked off the project with them. Shop drawings have been rolling since we issued the notice to proceed. All of the shop drawings for stormwater, for the turf field, for the fencing, for the paving, erosion controls have all been going back and forth from their office to ours and also to the township engineer's office, who has approved those shop drawings. And we are at the point where we are ready to break ground for construction. So this week, we were intending to start with erosion and sediment controls on the site, get construction entrances moving, and move on the practice field side. That's where we start. The stadium field, of course, starts after spring sports are complete. And as you know, outside, everything has been very wet. So we're holding and waiting for a little bit of a drying pattern to perform that work and keep going. But the schedule that we're under is identified here. We're still in great shape in order to complete both fields and the timeline that was provided in the contract. So Landtech has exchanged shop drawings. They've done their field survey with the pre-construction meeting with the Conservation District and the Township. A lot of materials have been procured and are in procurement. They've provided a schedule. And this week, as I mentioned, installation of initial soil and erosion control measures. In the next couple of weeks, we'll complete those measures, strip topsoil from the practice field, and start installing the practice field stormwater work. All of that will tie in to when the stadium field is ready for us, because we have a soil exchange between the 2 projects. And that's how we manage the amount of soil that's being moved for both projects. I know you can't read it, but there is a schedule that was provided by Landtech, and right now we're complying with what they've provided, and so I'd like to see that practice field stripped in the next couple of weeks, and that tells us that we're really on our way with the turf field project. Before I go on, just any questions from the committee with regard to the turf field project that I could answer at this point?
Just for the committee's awareness, we have set a schedule on the access road off of Montgomery Avenue and with the swing gates there, so they're going to operate on a 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. They're going to be open. That is the expected pathway of a lot of transit of materials that are going to be coming in and out, soils, rock, et cetera, over the next couple of months. So you can expect that during the working hours of the week, and those will be then secured back at 6 p.m. Each and every evening.
Great. Over on the elementary school project, this is a project that has 3 prime contractors on it. We're doing new roofing, new HVAC, and new electrical components inside of the elementary school. Our contractors are JBM on the HVAC, AE on the roofing, and Phillips Brothers on electrical. And so far, we've exchanged shop drawings, held our pre-construction meeting, and we're getting ready for, I'll call it prep work to start on second shift in April. And so essentially what we're doing in the spring before the summer hits. This project is executed over 2 summers, this summer and next summer, very heavy summer construction months. And to help with that, we've specified that work begins on second shift to remove ceilings in corridors in the elementary school and do prep work. This way, contractors know what's above the ceiling, they know where to run their conduit, they know where to run refrigerant piping, and it's basically planning to get ready for the minute kids and staff leave. We want to take over and be stripping the roof and be installing new utilities on the inside of the building. Next summer is probably the heavier month because that's when our electrical replacements occur, the switchgear that gets replaced. It's a long lead item. It won't be here for this summer. So all of the contractors have been doing planning. Your roofer, you may recall that we had a bid alternate whether or not to do the roof in 1 summer or 2, and he elected to do it in 1. So we're going to do the entire roof this summer. Phillips Brothers has been in coordinating where their conduit and wire pathways will go throughout the building. So they've been popping ceiling tiles and looking above the ceiling. Same with JBM. And so that will begin probably in the second week of April on second shift. I have a meeting with JBM on Thursday to prep for that, and I also need to get over and talk to building leadership and get them all set for exactly what we do, when we do it, the times, make sure we have people there, collecting clearances from all the workers, getting them approved. So it's been a lot of prep work. I just wanted to share an image of a similar school that we did and what things might look like this spring when ceilings are removed in corridors. This is a middle school project that we did in a similar fashion where the ceiling was removed. In our case, we're leaving the existing lights. This image shows temporary lights, but we're leaving and re-supporting the existing lights in the corridors. And so this is what the corridors should look like, which is really our pathways to get refrigerant piping and conduit throughout the building. So I just wanted to give everyone an idea of what that might look like. And then just to run over the scope once again, in classrooms at BES, this is one of the actual classrooms. You'll have new lights, new ceilings, new fire alarm. The old unit ventilator will be replaced with VRF cassettes. We have new rooftop units. And so basically the ceiling will look a lot different, and there'll be an operable HVAC system, fire alarm system when we're all done, new electrical switchgear that serves the building, new emergency generator. That is my update for now, and we'll continue to provide Friday updates as we get into construction to administration leadership who can distribute out to board members so you understand what's happening. We'll throw some pictures in there so that you can see it, but we'll do that every Friday so that you're well informed as to what's happening.
Great, thanks.
Happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Lynch, did you say you have currently, the silt socks on the fields yet, or
They've been delivered, but they haven't really touched the field because it's been so wet.
wet.
We were supposed to actually last Friday was going to be our first day, and so we're letting things dry out. We should see that this week.
Cool. Great. Thanks.
Mr. Lynch, can you just reiterate for the committee that of a point that's going to be on site, somebody that's going to be the lead at each of these projects, both on the turf and with relation to the BES project?
Correct. So our Kevin Lysick is going to be assigned to this job. He's well-versed in school construction. He worked at Princeton Day School and also over at Lawrenceville Prep in a prior life before coming to us. He's been up at Northampton working on their new elementary school. He's going to come down here and watch both projects for me. Our MEP team is engaged. They watch the shop drawings, review the shop drawings, provide him with any guidance if necessary. And I'm sorry, you're stuck with me. I'll always be available. Dr. David Heiser knows that he can call me day or night if there are questions that come up. So I believe you're well represented.
You think one guy's enough for both projects?
Yes.
Is he going to be coming to the meetings and updating the board, or are you going to be doing that?
I'll drag him in here if you'd like me to. I'd like to give you the updates and maintain the point of contact, but if Kevin needs to come to the meeting with me, we can do that as well. But
So he's essentially your project manager on the field?
yeah, he and I talk every day, right? So I have the relationship with all of the contractors as well, right? I'm guiding the shop drawings right now. I'm working on the schedule right now. He's come in boots on the ground, if you will. So he's watching what happens every day, making sure that it's compliant with the specifications and the drawings. And if there's any issues, he obviously pulls me in. So we are a team.
Okay.
Another quick question.
Yes.
Staging areas at the high school. Are you anticipating losing any parking spots, or do we have to make sure we make arrangements to, have students park somewhere else, faculty, that kind of stuff?
Well, the lion's share of the work at the high school is going to be done during the summer.
Okay.
So I don't anticipate losing any spots for students during the school year. It really is. As soon as we are able to get on that track at the end of the year, we will. We're not going to have massive amounts of materials right on day one, and a lot of them can actually be brought out and put in the infield after we strip it. So I really foresee that being not a conflict with school operations.
Can you also explain to me how you are getting over the all-weather track into the field and getting things in and out without disturbing, that all-weather track?
Without messing up the track, right? So we actually have a detail in our drawings that we've used for years and years on these types of projects. So there's a mat that goes over it, and it's got several layers of material so that you don't have to worry about vehicles, namely triaxles loaded with stone,
Sure.
damaging the track. So we build up over it, and then we remove that when it's done. So the first layer is a covering, like it's a plastic material, and then there's another layer that goes on, then there's a bit of earth that goes on, so you build up over top of that, and then it all gets removed, and that portion of the track gets cleaned at the very end.
Okay, cool. Great. Thank you.
That's a great question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lynch. I know you have another meeting. You're gonna,
Thank you very
you're
much.
running
It's
to.
good to see
Thank
you.
you. All right, we'll talk soon. And Dr. Ware, one of the things we've been working in Mr. Lynch's office has been working with Mr. Palladino in the athletic office and coordinating, most especially for the alternate field, so we're not losing any spaces. Most of that is going to be stored on the field, and anything in and out, we're moving inside of Bear Stadium as needed and so forth. So we're confident that we can handle anything, and we will not be reducing any parking spots at all. And you saw the stadium. The stadium is really, it will be impacted, and we expect, we have a highly successful track team and season. So allowing them to go through, typically the Memorial Day weekend is when states take place, which obviously is the end of May, which coordinates pretty closely too. We might be doing a few things with staging, or CHA may be doing a few things, Land Tech, with some of that staging, but again, we don't expect that it'll interrupt any of the operations of our own athletics or parking in any way. Thank you, Mr. Lynch.
Great.
Okay, that takes us down to item B, and we wanted to share with you this evening expected capital projects for 26-27 as we plan for budgeting purposes for 26-27, and what this entails. I'm going to ask Mr. Lentz, and I'm going to ask Mr. Yanuzzi, our supervisor of facilities and operations, to come to the podium, and we're going to kind of tag team both on this presentation for the board. Mr. Lentz doing some of the 30,000 foot and filling in some of the details, Mr. Yanuzzi. So it's an opportunity for any of the board members that have not met Mr. Yanuzzi, who's not typically at board meetings, just to be introduced, and has done a wonderful job. Has been here almost a year now. May we'll be at a year anniversary. So welcome and thank you for joining us. All right, Mr. Lentz, Mr. Yanuzzi, it's all yours.
Great. So we'll start just giving you some background on the next slide. We have, as a district, a capital projects plan. That plan is the basis that we've been moving forward capital projects and is one of the bases for the projects that are being presented here tonight. It is the last year of the 5-year plan, as some initial, foreshadowing for what that renewed plan looks like. Also have worked with Mr. Yanuzzi with regards to identifying needs that have come up outside of that plan but are relevant. The goal here is to maintain existing systems and as well as addressing maintenance that if we don't address will be of concern down the line because it will expand in scope. On the next slide, so of course we'll start the discussion looking at the financial picture. So we started the year $34.3 million in our capital projects balance. When we account for the expenditures that are forthcoming from those funds, we have the Gilbertsville water treatment, the HVAC and roof at Boyertown Elementary School, and the Bash Fields. So those are all deductions from that total. We then, based upon where we are in this year's budget, project a minimum $4 million transfer into the capital project fund at the end of the year. So in theory, we're looking at this as far as funds that are available from the lens of $21.9 million as of today for this. These funds, of course, do earn interest. In fact, with the formal development of capital projects funding streams as part of our budget, that's one of the pieces that I'm working on, because as interest is earned on these funds, that stays in the fund and is added back for additional projects. So we'll start, district-wide, to address paving needs, looking at various repairs, sealing, striping, lining, really looking at Middle School East, New Hanover, Gilbertsville, and Bash, really to address concerns with the paving surfaces there. And really not necessarily looking for any complete overhaul, but really maintenance. And I don't know if Mr. Yanuzzi has anything to add to that.
Well, the only thing I would add is after speaking to some folks at the high school, since we have the projects going on for the turf field, to do that parking area maybe this year might be, maybe we should take a step back a year or so, so heavy equipment's not running over.
Oh, I thought he left it on for me, sorry.
First time.
First time, yes. I don't have to repeat any of that, do I?
No.
Okay, good, all right. So I've been asked if we could just back that up for a year or more to see, they don't want the parking area ruined. So that's all I have. Everything else is on there as priority for the rest of the schools.
And again, Mr. Lentz, why don't you talk through a little bit of what we expect to do with an idea of how we're going to evaluate these and the needs.
Yep. So we're going to look at the next step will be to get pricing, bring that back to the board in April. Also, these projects will span the fiscal year. So it doesn't mean these are all this year's summer projects. These projects could be based upon timing and other pieces at the end of the school year next year. This is really what we're targeting on, but in most cases, we'll be bringing you pricing in April to confirm these estimates, approve so that those that can be completed this summer can get completed. On the next slide, for the education center, boiler replacement for a boiler at end of life, also a replacement of a rooftop unit for our HVAC. I don't, Mr. Munuzzi, if you'd like to add anything to that?
I mean, they are at end of life. Both are functional at this point, but we have had problems with the rooftop unit. So whenever you all feel and vote on that this should be done, certainly, again, it is productive and useful, but it is getting toward the end. So it's a recommendation.
And we've really gotten that recommendation coming out of our contractor who services these. Again, this is certainly out of warranty for many a decade now, no longer under warranty. The useful life of it, again, as it runs, but it is a break fix and continuation of a break fix to where we don't want to run into a situation to which we don't have, to which we couldn't heat or cool the building in any particular fashion. So we do estimate that this has to occur in the 26-27 year. Whether that's a summer project or whether that's something that might be able to happen over a break period during the school year to be able to establish those. So not as impactful to students, being that it's here at the Ed Center, but certainly impactful to 30-some folks that operate out of this building.
We also could see that price of $88,000 come down because the same company that bid that also bid for our Pine Forge, which we'll get into later, and they are they've estimated to use a higher efficiency, higher end boiler and burner. But again, that's up to you. I'll provide the information later on with Pine Forge and make the correlation between the two.
On the next slide, we look at Middle School East. If you haven't seen the tennis courts, the entire paving surface is deteriorating. There is weeds and other cracks in the surface. So that would be a complete dig out of that, new poles, new nets. The fencing would be repaired, but the existing fencing is adequate enough to be maintained on that site. The second project for Middle School East relates to the sewer, redirecting that. The line has breaks in it, and if it can be redirected, Mr. Yanuzzi can speak to that. It will assist us in that flow.
I agree with the tennis courts. They are in dire need of help. So and again, obviously these costs were just put together to hopefully come in lower. As far as the sewer hookup, this is more an investigation. There's a sewer line that runs, I believe it'd be east to west on Route 73, Big Road. And it runs up about a quarter mile and then makes a right-hand turn across that road and then comes back down, hooks up to our pump house on our side of the property. So our former director had done this, had put this in there because they'd had a few breaks in the line. And when you have breaks in the line running through properties, obviously the district is responsible for taking care of that cost. And they have had a few where you have to dig up the property and you have to then make it like it was before. So rather than go through that, the idea was investigate to see if we could just shorten that pipe and reroute it back to a manhole cover now, or a manhole unit right in the neighborhood that's to the left of the school currently. And they're just going to ask the township to take a look at that and to see what the cost would be to do that. Would save the district a lot of money in the long haul as pipes only get older and are more tendency to break.
Next slide, Ms. Moyer. Middle School West. So replacement of the auxiliary gym floor. It's at end of life. Turn it over to Mr. Yanuzzi for any more information on that.
The information is these tiles are popping up quicker than they're playing on them. Unfortunately, that's not an exaggeration. It is, again, in bad shape, has been done. I don't think it was done in the, was it 2015 one? So it's very old, and they use it a lot. So again, it behooves us to get on that when we can to keep that, because it's, I think Middle School West primarily is used, I think, more than any other of the institutions we have. I know East is there as well, but they use Middle School West for everything. So again, it'd be a great idea to have this taken care of.
Next slide, Ms. Moyer, Washington Elementary. For the office and for a better logical flow of access to the nurses suite, the build-out and installation of a door for access to that to be really clear and a straight path. Mr. Manuzzi, you want to speak to more detail?
Yes, the students do come in through from the lobby into the office, and there's a lot of traffic in and out of there. There's, people coming to meet the principal, there's visitors. So what they were coming up with was just to have them go through the other door into that sloped hallway, and then we would cut through the cinder block wall, put a landing 3 steps up, and to the nurse's office right there. Her desk would be right there. They put a railing up there for safety. The measurements have already been taken. We've had someone come out and take a look at doing the work, the masonry work and the cement work, and we're waiting for the person we use for doors to come out and measure and give us an estimate on that. But this has been, I think, been on for a couple of years, if I'm not mistaken. So, that's all I have on that at this time, but I'll answer any questions.
Yeah, this has been a project since I've been here with the district, and it really has come down to if you've ever been into Washington, it's a unique lobby area. It comes into the main office area with the nurses sweeping inside that main area, to which there's really no other direct access. So we have a number of ill children that may be coming in to see the nurse that have to flow through a community area, to which we may have healthy individuals and visitors and so forth. And so it makes more sense for us to have a direct access, and it's been investigated. It's certainly something that we would need to apply for permits for and so forth, that would allow it to be just a more seamless process for individuals to visit the nurse and in their suite there.
Next slide, Gilbertsville. So Gilbertsville steam boiler replacement, it's well past its useful life. That impacts our ability to have consistent heat throughout the building. Certain areas are extremely hot, certain areas are extremely cold. And again, I'll pass over to Mr. Yunuzzi for more information on that.
Yes, these are extremely old, I believe as old as the building boilers, if I'm not mistaken. Again, they are functional. However, being old, we have the pipes, the steam pipes that are connected to them, because it's steam heat that it generates. They are in dire need of help. We have sometimes our plumber, others will go down, try to manufacture those pipes, replace the pipes as they can. Certainly not the most efficient and effective way to do it. So with the replacement, you're going from steam to water. The steam then goes to a heat exchanger that runs the heat through the building. This fix would then just be hot water running through the building and wouldn't be as inconsistent, spread out more evenly. So again, they're useful, or it's just functional, yes. Getting beyond useful, for sure.
I think the piece that becomes most concerning are the parts.
Yes.
For us having to manufacture certain parts to make for that, since I don't know that this make and model is manufactured any longer.
It is harder to get parts, yes.
And more difficult to find those types of parts for this. So this does appear to be the year of the boiler. Seems like a common theme throughout some buildings. But again, we want to be a little more ahead of this. It's still functional. There's no safety concerns that we have, but it is something that we're addressing almost on a daily basis to be able to allow it to run and function and do the things boilers do inside of the building itself. So we have some estimated costs of being in that. Certainly not an exact number. That would be something, if the board considers this to move forward in the budget, that we would start to go out and get some better pricing on what exactly we're looking at in terms of those. So any final things would certainly be brought back in front of the committee here and brought back to the full board for your consideration of approval.
I will say that after speaking with Dr. Berge, the principal at Gilbertsville, he is concerned about 2 univents in rooms and one outside in a hallway that do get extremely hot when the boilers are cooking. And, the fear there is the safety of the children if they touch them or bump into them or whatever. So he had asked me to, or urged me to to make that statement and make that point that, as Dr. David Heiser said, there are no safety issues, but they would be the only ones, and obviously they're great ones because of the children. Thankfully, there has been no evidence of harm at this point, but we always want to be careful.
Next school in New Hanover. So New Hanover, you'll see also later at another elementary, stage curtain replacements. In particular, the cording that is with those has to be a certain type. The type is not code, which would mean if there was a fire, it really goes up fast. With that, also, the curtain at New Hanover is torn, so that's slated for replacement. Tile in the back hallway, Mr. Nuzzi can speak more about it, but it is popping up, so to replace that area. And then for safety, this has come up a number of times, a walkway for student drop-off area, so that it's very clearly delineated, aligned with drop-off at New Hanover. Mr. Nuzzi?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Slentz. The stage curtain replacement first. After examining the stage curtains, front and back stage curtains are in bad shape. There are a lot of holes, stains, and whatnot, and they look like they're original to the building. And the rigging with the ropes, as Mr. Lentz stated. I spoke with Mr. Ramsey from the high school, who does the stage production there, and asked him, was there code? Because I know that they use hemp-type ropes currently in their staging productions. And he said that I need to check with Sapsis, the group he used to get the quote for his project. But there's supposed to be a vinyl-coated rope that is used, a certain diameter. What we're using on these right now look to be the same as a clothesline rope, say. And it has broken at Colbrookdale, which we'll get to, but at New Hanover, it's also fraying. The rigging systems are coming up from the floor. So that, again, is probably in the worst shape of the two. As far as the tile replacement in the back hallway, it's becoming more of a trip hazard every day. Tiles do pop up. They are old. We have had one of our maintenance persons go through and just, go through them continuously, laying down new tiles, but you're just doing patchwork at that point. Really should be. And this is from, if you're familiar with New Hanover, from outside the one conference room and cafeteria all the way back to the dock is what this back hallway is. That's how far it stretches. It's not a big piece, but it's enough. It's used widely. So again, that's one of a few things there for their tile. But the cement walkway is something that I just spoke with Principal Rohn about actually earlier in the week. He had come up and he'd asked us, myself and our head groundsman, Jeff Pinder, to see if there's something that we could do to bring to resolve a safety issue that he's been dealing with for 6 years. He was asking us maybe to paint some lines or bus lines or whatever, safety walkways. And the more we talked about it, basically what I asked him was, what do you feel would be the safest way to go about this and resolving this issue? And he said a walkway. Now, if you're familiar with New Hanover, the parking lot that faces 73 Big Road right now is only used for buses. And it's used after they drop off, they pull in because there's a line of buses that snake its way out to Hoffmansville, and as well as parent vehicles. And the local police department is having a little bit of a fit, having to do traffic control there. And they're constantly speaking with Principal Ronan, and he's handled it very well. But we're just trying to resolve a bigger issue here for him. Getting a walkway, what we would do is we would take away parking on the side of the building. We would redirect it to the back parking lot that I initially spoke of. Then we would use that empty parking area to have a sidewalk that runs from close to that back parking area all the way up to near his door. We wouldn't go all the way up and then make a 90-degree angle because, quite honestly, it's a more expensive alternative. But we can veer it off to the left around a tree that's there, a healthy tree, which we wouldn't want to cut down. We could veer it off to the left, add some new, widen the sidewalk that's there now, and have a perfect 8 feet wide path that would accommodate not only dropping off, but also picking up. And he feels as though after 6 years, this is probably the best option for him. And obviously the safety of the children. And having watched it a few times, I would agree with him, so.
Yeah, I can concur. I was spending a month out at New Hanover and seeing and walking through that multiple times with Mr. Roan. It's probably the best option. It's not a great situation that exists right now with the amount of parent drop-off and pickup that we have, and that connection to buses as well. I think this really separates the two, makes it safe. And it's something we looked at considerably when I was out there during the month to really, and that I would wholeheartedly support this plan to move forward with. Number one, obviously for safety, it just better coordinates every person a little better than we have right now. Cones can only go so far, and we're trying to do the best we can out there right now, but there's a lot of volume coming at a very restricted point in time, and this will certainly help that.
Next slide. Final school for slated projects. Colbertdale. Stage curtains. These be the front only, also replacing the ropes for code requirements. I'll ask Mr. Venuzzi for additional information.
Yeah, as Mr. Lenz said, front curtains only. The back are fine. Again, we're seeing the same rope issue, the same rigging issue that we see present at New Hanover. Again, age of the building, I'm sure, probably have never been changed out. They have, I don't know how many productions they do, so I would imagine it doesn't get used as much, but I could be wrong about that. But at least we would save something on this, only having to replace a few of the curtains. But again, you're still looking at the rope and the rigging and the safety issue that entails.
Great. And so on the next slide, when you look at these projects individually, we need to consider the total. So when we look at the projected capital fund balance that we'll have in place, we're looking at $1.3 million of capital projects. Also having a transfer that's part of our budget for 26-27 included in there. That brings us to $24.5 million. The other variable is we do earn interest on these funds. That currently is around $70,000 a month. So that also continues to get added to those funds to maintain a balance in capital projects. So I'd like to think it's well thought out with regards to what we're spending, what we're replenishing, how we're maintaining that, and then we'll be looking forward with updated information on our 5-year plan for the next fiscal years. Final slide brings it all together. So we fund these from capital projects. There's no bond issue. Our total of 1.3. Kind of next steps would be to secure our actual pricing for a lot of these projects based upon the nature of them. They'd be from CoStar's vendors, getting multiple quotes for costs, bringing the best quotes back to the board for approval in April so that we're ready to get out of the gate on these projects for the 26-27 school year. Questions?
On the Gilbertsville boiler,
Yes, sir.
that's one big boiler for that whole
It's
school?
actually 2 boilers.
Oh, there are two?
Yes, there are 2.
Okay,
Yes.
I was just wondering, are we putting one in or two?
We would probably put 2 back in. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other capital project questions? Okay. Well, that'll take us to item C then, and we wanted to just share with the board and the committee some more current and upcoming projects. So, Mr. Yanuzzi, I'm going to have you at the podium, and Mrs. Moyer, if you can bring that up for us. All right. So again, some of the key efforts that we want to try to address and have been addressing, safety is always first and foremost when we look at a lot of our projects that we have. a lot of the break-fix things that deal with infrastructure, that might be environmental factors, and some of the things that really try to minimize disruption for our students and for our staff, so the focus can truly be on teaching and learning. Some of the current projects that we have right now, and first one out of the gate is the security camera add-ons project. This was part of capital projects last year that we had shared with the board. Most of the cameras have been installed at Middle School East and at Bash. A lot of those were to fill in a number of voids that we had, a lot of stairwells that we didn't have real access to. So this was a project that we targeted in the budget for this year to accomplish a lot of that. And Mr. Yanuzzi, correct me if I'm wrong, are we completed at those two buildings? I know they've been...
They have completed East.
East.
I believe they've completed Bash as well.
Okay,
Yes.
good. And you're going to hear, we have a kind of part two of that, and that's an addressment to more of our elementaries a little later in this presentation. The next item there, you see the Envira Health air quality testing. This kind of goes and is tied to the Boyertown Elementary School project, as you heard earlier in the presentations from Mr. Lynch. One of the things that staff and one of the things that we wanted to address was take an air quality test of the building pre and post from taking down, if you heard from Mr. Lynch, the removal of all the ceiling tiles inside of the building. So we wanted to test the building for its air quality related to asbestos testing. The abatement of the asbestos in the building took place in 2023, I
Yes,
believe.
that's correct.
And so we did some of that. So the asbestos testing results really came back from an asbestos side that all samples were below the analytical detection limit. The levels obtained represent clean air via phase contrast microscopy from the organization of Connell Green Environmental Consulting. So those are positive results, as we would expect with asbestos really being out of there, that there was really no detection. It was well below any detection limit to those. We also then did and wanted to do a air quality testing on the bioaerosols, in which are really testing the mold values inside the building. It's always a comparison of a sample outside and inside of a building when you look at that. So some of the results that came back, sampling conducted of the ambient air of all indoor locations took place. All indoor samples were within the normal limits based on both the Indoor Air Quality Agency guidelines and the outdoor sample. The indoor samples had low total spore counts and no indicator of other organisms and that were present in any of the samples. And based on the results, there's no proactive remediation for mold-related issues necessary at this particular time with regard to that. So positive results with the air quality testing. What we plan to do is a week or so after the removal of all the tiles, go back and do the same testing again to make sure that we've maintained an environment that is safe for our staff, for our students in that building as we move forward. And as you recall, all of the tiles will stay removed in the hallway areas throughout the course of the remainder of the summer, all through next year. Classroom tiles will stay intact, but it is going to be a different look in Boyertown Elementary for a full year in terms of that. Mr. Yanuzzi, you want to just talk a little bit about the generator repair at New Hanover?
The generator repair was completed today. Albarell Electric came out, and what they did was we have a diesel motor on our generator that it was for the radiator that runs the generator, that runs the boilers. So we were having problems with all this. So just about a month or so ago, when we still had some bad weather going on. But they came out, they corrected everything. They tested it 3 times. Everything did exactly what it should have done. So the last report I got from the head custodian at that school was that they were good to go and it had been repaired.
Takes us down to PFOA water treatment. As you recall, the board had given approval and we moved forward with the application phase with Suburban Water Technology That application's been signed, it's been notarized, it's been sent to the PADEP for their consideration of a resin filtration system, a full school filtration system. In the interim, we did put localized point of use filtrations on bottle fillers, fountains, nurse's suite, the kitchen areas, and waited. The recommended wait time was allow about 2 weeks, and we tested those after approximately 2 weeks. I'm really happy to report that the ranges in there, if you recall, we were at a building level of 8.68 on the quarterly. The running annual average for the building was 8.68. If you recall, the parts per trillion regulation for PFOAs up through until 2031 is 14 parts per trillion. We were at 8.68. And the localized point of use has brought the ranges, brought the levels down, and we have a range anywhere from 1.66 to 1.87 right now across those point of use filtrations. So the localized filters have done some job and really brought them down under the 4 parts per trillion, which is the federal guidelines. You have until 2031 to reach that, but we've dramatically brought that down. Our hope is that with the full resin filtration system, that we would even bring that down further and maybe have no detect, but we'll wait to see. So we're happy to report that. So we'll be communicating that to the Gilbertsville families and just keeping them in the loop of those of that change to the water. So again, we had applied also to Aqua for consideration of a public hookup. We've still yet not received any communication back from Aqua as it's come to that, and we've actually put in communications for both New Hanover and Earl, which are no detects right now for PFOAs, but did put communication out to them in a similar fashion to see if there's any possibility of public water hookup at those two buildings, and have not heard back yet at this point. So again, fingers crossed, we'll hear back from them, but we'll keep you in the loop as far as the application phase for the resin at Gilbertsville. So our next area,
All right, there we go.
and I'll turn this over to Mr. Nunezi. Spring break, your
Okay,
construction.
Before I address this, I misspoke. The generator doesn't run the boilers. I have boilers on my mind. It runs the major appliances, fridge, freezer, security, that type of thing. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Spring break construction. We've had Euler Construction come out to do that, are going to finish a lot of the steps that we've asked them to repair. They're going out to the high school during the Easter break, and they will repair, I believe the east entrance? Yeah, it's the school's east entrance. These steps are on a point, on an angle, so the ones that really need to be repaired are from that angle or point toward the wall. And they're going to take care of that alone. Now, certainly they've suggested that the other steps that are around there should be considered, but that is the most dire need, so we've asked them to concentrate on that. I've also asked them to look at the education center steps out here in the front, just 2 or 3 steps out there. They're going to quote us a price for that to repair them, because as we go around, and as you all know, if you've been in the district for a while, there are many trip hazards that we're trying to address. And there's a few ways to do it. One is through just the concrete work. Others are through an organization we use that uses foam to raise up the sidewalks to meet the curbs and to level everything out and remove those trip hazards. We just had them complete that at Gilbertsville, where all the teachers and staff park, and it came out wonderfully. They did a great job. And at Colbrookdale, now Drumheller Construction is an organization that we were using prior to finding Euler Construction. Mr. Drumheller, we lost contact with him. He had a quote for a couple things to do. Unfortunately, we don't know what happened, and we wound up finding out he was in the islands for a period. that's all I'm gonna say about that, but we moved on to someone else. And we still stay in touch with them, because obviously we are not looking to rule anybody out. We're always gonna get our 2-3 quotes, but, as of this point, Euler Construction is doing an amazing job for us, but we have given, Drumheller they've gotten the quote and accepted the quote for Culverdale Elementary to do all the curbs around there and the center island as well. Any questions about that? And forgive me if I misspoke. No? Okay. Water pump, I'm sorry. Water pump replacement at Earl Elementary. We have 2 pumps that pump the water through Earl Elementary. Currently, pump 1, or the one that is leaking, we found this out through a power outage, and we do have pump 2 working well. They are both functioning, but this leak, we don't know how long it's been going on, because they didn't need to be checked because everything was working well. But now that we have checked it, it's certainly something we should address. We've had a quote for it from Guringer Mechanical for $9,400, almost $9,500. And I wouldn't say it's tough to say with pumps. I mean, once you start seeing them leak, as you know, that it might not take long with that pressure to stop functioning. But I believe it is a good price for that. But we're gonna try to move on that as quickly as we can. A lot of these projects, as you know, have to take place either when school is out or through the summer. Any questions on the pump? Yes,
Is this a water pump or a glycol pump?
it's a water pump.
It is water.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, chiller 2 repair at the high school. I know this has been talked about a lot in the last year. Now, before they do the final repair of the chiller 2, there was a piece in the compressor motor that they found that 1 wasn't under warranty and 2 needed to be repaired before they could do the overall repair. So I have that quote in here. If you need to know it, I can tell it to you. But they feel that if they don't address this problem first, they can't do the bigger finish on the chiller. So obviously we got JCI, who usually does this for us, to come out and give us a quote on this. And once they have that part in, which they say, as you can see, ships on 4/6, so we'll get it sometime 3rd week of April. And then they're saying by the end of April, the total chiller project will be complete as far as chiller 2, because we need that stress off of chiller 1 as soon as we can get that to happen. No? Okay, moving on. Safety camera add-ons here, as Dr. David Heiser told you about the other 2 schools. We have Earl Elementary, New Hanover Elementary, and Middle School West. So we've decided to take it as I've just listed it. Earl, all the cameras at Earl are all exterior cameras. So it's easier for them to go down and use ladders to do these. That's what they did at the high school, and that's what they did, except for the higher elevations. And they did this also at East. We have a lift that they can use to do interior cameras. However, at Earl and New Hanover, there's no way they're getting that lift in that building, so they'll just use ladders to do the interior. And if they need the exterior, we can take it up, because right now it's sitting at Middle School East. And then we'll have it moved. By the time they get to Middle School West, we'll have that lift for them to use both interior and exteriorly. But again, these are for the blind spots. These are for the long hallways with the lights at either end of the hallway that you can't see in the middle. And again, student safety. Speaking with Principal Dombrowski at Middle School West, says it's just of the utmost importance because of all the collection in the areas. I think the students know where the cameras are as well. So we have to get more in there. Any questions about cameras? Okay, our last, you got it?
So the last item in here is, and again, for the committee and our board who are well aware, we had a catastrophic failure of a boiler at Pine Forge. This is the elementary school that had been closed for a number of years, reopened last summer as we act, and the BCIU rents space from us for its early intervention programs. So it's a 2-boiler system. One of the boilers did catch fire There was fire department on site, and thankfully, no one was injured on site when it came to this. No students nor teachers were there. We were fortunate to have a couple of custodians who reacted well to that scene and really were able to address it as quickly as possible. So, bringing Pine Forge back to a two-boiler system again, obviously, is going to take the replacement of a boiler, which will need to be removed and replaced. So we've gone out, sought out 3 different quotes for this, and you can see they're stretched a little bit differently. We do have an update on 3Bs, and Mr. Yanuzzi can fill you in on that. Berkshire, who was the contracted service provider for the BCIU, did come in with the lowest quote. These are all CoStar vendors. And we are really recommending, based on the price tag that you see there, we believe that the Burnham oil burner is a sufficient enough burner for and boiler for that particular building. It's matched up against a Will McLean and a Smith cast iron that you see there. There are some differences. We did attach some of the specifications to it, but we do feel, based on the fact that this is a rental property which we own, it's sufficient. The last one did run what we factored in to be 16 years,
16 years, yes.
Joe.
Yes.
Which is a bit short for a boiler system, and we're pretty confident, based on some of the servicing that we would do with this, that we could replace that. As a landlord, we do have a contract with the BCIU on this. Part of that is we do and have discussed some things with the BCIU of sharing the cost of this possibility. With that, they are amenable to that and splitting the $36,000. There is some additional fees to which they've asked us to also most recently consider. There was approximately $13,000 in smoke remediation and some additional costs with repair of boiler 1 to get it to its place, and they asked for consideration as far as splitting that cost as well in this. The insurance, we do have a $50,000 deductible. So obviously, if you're looking and considering the $36,200 boiler, it does not make much sense to file a claim when it comes to that in and of itself. So this is something that's going to take some lead time to get all the things in necessary for this. I would expect that this to be a summer project to have this replaced in there. Wanted to bring these quotes back to you. You can see they span quite a large array. You did receive today an update from 3B, I do believe, Mr. Yanuzzi.
Yes, Dr. David Heiser, we have the new quote is $74,052.59. So it comes more in line with the quote from HT Lines at $79,500. And the reason is that it became an apples to apples comparison. Their initial quote was a high efficiency, higher end burner and boiler, but compared to the standard linkage boilers that we had up there, and we kind of pressed them to do better, because we use 3B a lot in the district. They do a lot of the work on the boilers for us, and so we have a great relationship with them. But at 107.1 and change, we wanted to see something better. And then they thought that it was a gas boiler. They thought Pine Forge had gas. So when we corrected that, then they realized they needed to adjust their price for that as well. So what you see all here are standard linkage boilers. The burners, they're all pretty comparable. I mean, I think as far as the HT Lions and Berkshire, they're using a Beckett burner, and Beckett burners you can find them everywhere in the United States. The parts are easy to get. They're easy to replace. The Riello that 3B is offering, a little harder for parts, a little harder to find. Not as many, people want to work on them. So 3B does, that's great. But just again, that's for your consideration. I think The boilers are, I mean, obviously, the labor is more than the part themselves, but that was the update.
So one of the things I would like to get some direction from committee on what you would like to, the administration to do. We are really, based on pricing, recommending in discussions with the IU and their facilities department, do have confidence in Berkshire and their quote and replacing with a Burnham again. And if that's something that we would like to move forward with, we would be the purchaser of the equipment to that, and it would need direction from the board, and we would have to bring that back to the board. Again, the IU is amenable to splitting that cost, and would ask for your consideration for the additional cost that came about with the remediation. And
They're interested in splitting that as well, correct?
yeah, and that was $13,000 and a few dollars, so it's in that $6,000 to $7,000 range.
I'm in agreement with that. Raise hands if you're in agreement and you'd like to move forward with the Burnham.
Is the IU using that building all year long?
The IU will be using that building. There's going to be I think there's always a gap in the summer.
It's part of
Their schedule is not aligned necessarily directly to us, but there's going to be enough of a gap that we're hoping that any replacement could take place during that time period in the summer.
Thank you.
But again, they are running on one boiler system right now, and it is sufficient. We would like a redundancy and piece to this. We okay to bring this back then through committee and through? Okay. All right. Mr. Nunzi, we've got some marching orders.
Thank you so much. Appreciate
Okay.
the invite.
No one signed up for comment period number 2, which leads us to our upcoming meeting minutes, or meeting dates, and it's a Facilities Committee meeting, May 26, 2026. Motion to adjourn.
I'll motion.
Meeting adjourned.